let us switch over and we will check out this game in the next round here between round 7 of a Big Bang hosted by eSports.com, and we are looking at LJ Fed and Patar.
I'm just gonna keep calling him Leisure Fed because it sounds cooler. Just like with Xenoths. Leisure Fed sounds cooler. Sounds French. Everyone likes a French guy. They're always nice people.
Exactly. Just it's all about the French poetry. Right. As we were saying just before we came into this game, if LJ Fed wins Leisure Fed wins this, then he will progress through to the finals, compete for the part of the $300 prize. If Patar wins, then we have a 3-way tie at the top of this group, and there will be matches on sticks to act as tiebreakers here. So we're just waiting for the players to pick their spawn locations, clearly giving it a lot of thought. Small.
Well, with one map or one spawn location, absolutely. I mean, we saw from the very first match, you decided to build your factory in between 2 metal extractors. You're probably done already.
Well, I think we've tried to pull out some predictions on this, but I think it's proven to be pretty tricky. LJ Fed.
Leisure Fed.
Yeah, Leisure Fed. Proving to be, has been an upset in recent tournaments, done very well in the Super Commander weeklies. So let's see what the build orders are going for. So Patar kicking off with a bot factory, Leisure Fed kicking off with a bot factory as well, as we thought perhaps bots, then into tanks, using the bots to switch up to Grenadiers a bit later.
Looking at his queue though, we actually see him also looking at some air factories, so he might be just trying to... That might just be kind of the, I know my opponent's going to be building the air factory, but it might also be maybe some Inferno drops, so gotta keep an eye out for that for sure.
Yeah, I would expect to see a drop of that, because air control on Forge, it's not such a big deal. It's quite a small contained map, and generally it's tank heavy, although we'll see Patar going for a very bot heavy build here, so I think we're going to see him go for Grenadiers. It's either going to be a full-on docks rush, or we're going to see a transition quite quickly into Grenadiers. Let's see what the second factory builds to get an idea.
Well, either way, we're going to all be rooting for Patar so we can see a 3-way on sticks, because everyone loves sticks so much, so we'll see what happens.
Now, Sticks is a fascinating, the only multi-planet map we have in the qualifiers. Of course, there are 8 groups. So we have 8 players qualifying through to the finals, which are happening the next week, 18th of July at 1800 UTC. So make sure you tune into esports.com to catch the finals, where the players will be competing for part of a $300 prize. But this decider game here is going to be choosing which one of these players is actually going through from the qualifiers into the finals. And already a docks push coming out from Patar, while the Fed is struggling to get his economy under control.
Well, if this is any indication on how this is going to play out, already rooting for Patar. Very strong docks movement here. These tanks, there are these 2 tanks and the occasional support dock, going to start moving in here, but these tanks need to get out of here. They need to get immediately out of dodge. I was thinking Patar could take that fight, as long as he knew how to teach the docks how to tango. The bullet shots from Leisure Fed's tanks would basically be absolutely useless. I know, especially on a map like Forge, if your opponent goes mass docks and they know what they're doing, just basically getting the cha-cha slide out against a tank player can be really easy, just to A, piss them off, and B, really do some damage to them. So we'll see.
That was smartly played with Fed there, I think. He played it well. He turned the tanks around exactly at the right moment. Patar perhaps not quite committing as early. If he'd committed earlier, he might have been able to put it away. He felt a bit indecisive with the way he used his docks there, but the initial losses, perhaps he thought he couldn't take it. But then he could have got in and got the Faber, and it might have made the sacrifice worth it. But we see now Patar committing more and more to this bot. He is going to go for a full-on docks push, and Leisure Fed moving into full-on vehicles. It's all going to come down to whether or not Patar can get these early wins then, because the docks really strong early on and then quickly lose their effectiveness as the tanks start to build up in numbers.
And here comes, this bomber. Oh, this bomber might just win him the game here. If this, oh my goodness, the connections. Beautiful, but I don't think it was enough. There's still plenty of docks, and this bomber needs to come back in for a second swipe. But I think the damage has already been done. This bomber should just clean him up, or maybe Patar is aware that these docks need to stay alive for as long as possible.
The bomber is down.
Oh, this is getting really ugly for Leisure Fed.
Yeah, he's looking in trouble now, and there's more docks coming in. He needs to get the commander over there. He can't. His commander's off building factories, and unfortunately, I think he needs to commit to holding that, because this expansion point is such an important point on Forge. You've got to hold these 4. If you lose that, you're effectively losing the game. You should be able to hold that position. You can't afford to give it away. He's pushing out Infernos, and I'm not really sure that's the right choice. He's trying to stop the docks pushing in, but I think they're still going to be able to. They're going to be able to kite all of this. I guess the idea is to try and stop them from running in amongst the tanks, but it feels like he's transitioning too early.
Another bomber going to come out. Ooh, that saved him. That just saved him right there.
Oh, that was a big win, but Petard pulling a substantial lead now in terms of economy, in terms of troops. He's done a lot of damage there, and it's going to be quite hard for the Jafed to come back from that.
All that Lijafed needs to do is get some security around his base. These docks are going to run straight into the commander. The Uber shot, as long as the Uber shot is good, he will be absolutely fine. I think if Patas sees this commander, he's going to just back off immediately. He does. Uber shot doesn't connect. So he should just kind of run off to this little expansion point where this one fabricator is expanding to. He picks this off. He basically kicks out the only other leg that Lijafed has in terms of staying alive. He's going to start rebuilding these 4 metal structures that are absolutely crucial for any opening tank commander. Lijafed, I think, is a little indecisive about where he wants to put that factory. He built it for a second there, rebuilt it on another spot, but these docks moving in, I think Patah did sniff it out. He was wondering why Lijafed still had the chance, and he was like, why are you still alive? You know, you should be absolutely dead at this point. And it kind of is, but there's still enough fabricators and expansion that is about to get cleaned up here from Lijafed that it won't be too much.
Well, he's keeping his head. But I think he needs to switch to perhaps slightly more defensive stance, perhaps get some walls up here, because there's a lot of docks messing outside the base, and he does not have the troops to stop that. He needs some defensive structure to help. So I think his commander's going to be alright, because the Uber cannon against the docks work best when massed up really tightly, and that makes them easier to pick up with an Uber cannon. But Lijafed staying out there, trying to stop Patar from expanding out too much. But really, he's running rampant, and I think
all these bombers.
Yeah, we need to see more air coming out. It's the counter that he needs right now. He's got to commit more to bombing the docks, because there's nothing they can do, and they can only dodge against small numbers of bombers. But again, as you see, the tanks are built up into mass there, and those docks driven off. Lijafed, if you could just hang on, this could turn around very quickly.
Definitely. These choke points here, especially on Forge alone, are very powerful, especially for slow push tanks like this that Lijafed is trying to do. As long as he just doesn't push out until he knows, I mean, numerically, he needs to be either even or ahead, especially as a tank commander going against docks. If you're ahead on against your docks opponent, you are in the best position that you would ever want to be. Now, the thing is, this commander needs to find some way to secure some of this back metal. The expansion that he was trying to capture has effectively fallen off, and this commander push, though, not too sure if I like this decision here out of Patah. He really shouldn't be trying to do something as crazy as that. He just needs to start expanding and guaranteeing more metal to himself versus Lijafed.
Well, I think he's just trying to secure. He's realising that his docks are right, and you've seen him now. He's transitioning to Grenadiers now. He's realising he's not going to win with this dock push. There are too many tanks on the field now, and I think he's just trying to hold his economic advantage. He's expanded out. He's starting to set up his lines of defense. So when these tanks push out, they're going to run to the walls. He's going to have the Grenadiers behind them, and he's going to have himself...
Grenadiers, yep. There's the transition, from Patan to try and just beat off this this tank army. Now, I'm not too sure about this. Well, actually, no, sorry. I'm not too sure if Lijafed realizes this, but there are docks now closing in from all sides. His tank army completely out of position. If these docks on the opposite side decide to move in, he could just gut this base absolutely. There's probably good 60-ish docks there just waiting for the trigger to be pulled here. He needs to move these. The docks, though, from the other attack side did move in and are going to start chewing on some of these metal energy factories. Excuse me.
Well, he's going all in now. I think he's decided that he's lost his base. He's not going to be.
He can, though.
Back there. These
Grenadiers are in position,
but he doesn't have enough troops. I don't think he's going to be able to close in that commander. There's a lot of Grenadiers there. They're going to do a lot of damage. That commander's going to get away. I think he's lost this. I think he's sacrificed his base. He does not have the troops necessary to push in and destroy that commander. He's going for the base swap. I think the Grenadiers are going to be able to stop that.
Definitely. There's just the Grenadiers quite literally outnumber the tanks, and they're bunching up. Grenadiers, well, they do pretty good against units that are bunched up. These tanks now streamlining in, which is even worse, especially in a situation where you need to trade as efficiently as possible for Le Jafed. These Grenadiers are going to just start doing exactly what they do, and that's commander killing and being defensive. This commander going to start moving out, but I mean, he's already dropped down to about 64% and steadily dropping, now down to 50. Pata just needs to back off, let these Grenadiers do their magic, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Le Jafed dropping very quickly, and I think we're going to see a three-way tie here.
Yeah, I think we are as well. And there we go. The commander goes down. Pata playing a really solid game there. Really solid. They pushed hard with the docks. And Le Jafed almost making a huge mistake by moving his tank army out. He seems to feel like he was more secure than he actually was. And I think if he just stayed a bit more defensive, Pata was transitioning to Grenadiers. He could have built up his troops better. He needed to clear out those docks, and he definitely needed more in the air than he had. That was a real problem he had. Those docks armies would have been helpless in the face of some bombers, and he didn't get the air force that he needed.
Definitely. I mean, I think he needed a little bit of that Wonderable kind of mindset there, where yeah, he's safe, but he could be safer, and especially with the tanks versus docks on Forge. If you're playing as the tank commander, if you're moving out, you need to know for a fact that this will be secure. This is safe. Don't even risk a single tank for anything.
Absolutely. I think he got a little overconfident with his position. He felt he had the tanks now. It was starting rolling out, but there were so many docks still lurking out there, and nowhere near enough defense to stop them. And indeed, there's dual laser turrets. Possibly a mistake. It might have been better off going off for the single lasers, which in many ways can actually have more accuracy against docks sometimes. But they were just moving around such huge groups.
Very much so.